Welcome to the Birth Room Podcast, where holy ground meets bare feet and the wilderness of labor enters sacred space. We are your hosts, Sydney Hagan and Nichole Smith. I'm Sydney, founder of Untamed Birth, birthkeeper and educator, mother of 3, 2 of which born unassisted at home.
And I'm Nichole, founder of the Rewild Birth Collective, birth servant and herbalist. I'm also the mother to 5 wildly wonderful children who were all born at home.
Together, we invite you into honest conversations at the threshold of life, where birth is not a medical event to be managed, but a holy unfolding, raw, reverent, and real, rooted in radical responsibility. The birth room is not one place. It takes many forms. Sterile halls, candlelit bedrooms, quiet tubs, moving cars or crowded clinics, linen sheets, plastic covers, or bare ground. But no matter where it unfolds, birth is holy ground. It is where the veil thins, the breath of God hovers close. In cries and stillness, in pain and power, birth is sacred. Welcome to the birth room. Stories, wisdom, and truth from the edge of life's beginning. Welcome back to part 2 of episode 2 as Nichole continues sharing the birth stories that shaped her journey into motherhood and birth work. Let's pick up right where we left off.
So, going into your 4th, especially after your 3rd experience, how did that go, like choosing a different midwife? Any new fears unlocked for this birth?
Yeah. I want to quickly go back and just touch on, so I am a P9 G5, which means I've had 9 pregnancies and 5 live births. I did have a little fear before Darcy because Josh and I miscarried our first pregnancy together. I lost it at 6 weeks. And then after Kezia, I lost one at 9 weeks. And so I remember, this is why it's important. Going into Clementine's birth, I had more fear of losing a pregnancy because now I had experienced a couple losses. Yeah. And so, yeah, what was your question? Sorry.
Just how your process went choosing a different midwife this go around, and if you had new fears unlocked going into the birth.
Yeah, so for these 2, we delivered in the same state. So I was still in Maryland, same house, but knew I wasn't going to use the other midwife that I had used for Kezia. So I did have a couple fears. And actually, in thinking about it, Clementine's birth was, I can't remember if it was 4 or 6 hours. I want to say it was 6 hours. And I think it was because I had more fears than before.
Still a very short time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Still a short delivery. But a couple of the fears that I did have, one, I was afraid that she wouldn't make it. Susan Dodge was Clementine's midwife, or my midwife at the time for Clementine. She is also a lovely human being. She lived up in Baltimore area, so she was like an hour and 20 away from us. So the thought of her being far away was a little bit concerning. Having the loss at 9 weeks was concerning, and I had found her for that pregnancy as well. So she held my hand and walked me through that miscarriage. Had a very midwifey, motherly feel. So I knew, like, okay, she's going to be good for my next delivery. I now had a fear of posterior babies and the sensation of that, but it wasn't a fear that kept me, like, locked in, or it was just, oh, I need to have better posture. I need to be doing things proactively. So really, rather than a fear, it was more of a motivator. Like, I know why I had a posterior baby, so let's not do that again.
Yeah.
And I didn't. I was very intentional about being forward-leaning, about getting on my hands and knees every day, crawling up the stairs on my hands and knees, just purposefully putting myself in a forward-facing, leaning position.
Maybe a little bit to the extreme?
Probably. Yeah, and again, motivated by my experience. So yeah, definitely. Clementine's birth. It was my favorite birth pool. It was a kiddie pool, but it had all the fish on the side. But again, my water broke. She came on her due date, and all of my labors were kind of day labors with the exception of Darcy. So it was like start in the wee hours and then deliver by mid-morning. Clementine was start in the morning and I delivered by the afternoon. So my mother-in-law came and took the kiddos out and like walked around, but they were downstairs for a lot of it. So the team got there really early because I called them when active labor started, but then it kind of slowed down when everybody showed up. One, I think because in my mind I was afraid that it was going to be painful, and two, everybody was staring at me. And I've figured out, right, at this point, like, I don't want people staring at me. In my first, it was my first. I didn't really articulate that. My second, it was dark, and it was just Josh and I, and the midwives kind of hovered until it was time, and there was no time. People were staring at me with Kezia, and it was much slower. People were staring at me with Clementine, and it was much slower. And I was really, I remember feeling like, oh man, I called them too soon, and having that anxiety or that worry of like, they're here and they're annoyed because it's taking longer than an hour.
Yeah.
And I think too, because I had had really quick deliveries, I was even shocked that it was taking longer. But she was just my, like, what I had observed in birth as a birth worker, like my just steady, easy labor didn't come on quick and furious. It just slowly built. I had early labor. I had active labor. Like, I felt all the phases. But it was just a beautiful, peaceful. I did have the same birth assistant for Kezia and Clementine. She assisted both midwives, Lori.
That's awesome.
Yeah, who I still, she's just an incredible human being. I love her so much. So she was there. I did not have a doula. I did not have any student doulas or friends or anybody. Like, just getting back to the basics of just me and Josh. The same thing for all of my deliveries, and I can't picture the shirts, but I want to say that he wore a white t-shirt in every birth, and I just wanted to smell the white t-shirt.
That's so funny.
On him while he held me together. But I delivered Clementine in a leaning, like semi-reclined, because I wanted to catch her. That was one thing, because I had been hands and knees for the first two, and I was able to help Kezia's head deliver, but then I had to stand up. I didn't get to catch her. And I didn't mention that, but that was important to me after the first two. I wanted to be the one that brought them out. And so for Clem, everybody knew, like, that was the intention. And I'm little, right? I'm in my birthing pool and I can barely see over the edge because I'm small. But I remember Josh was behind me for a bit, but he then wanted to see, because he didn't really get to see the deliveries. He wanted to watch this time. So he's over here, and then Susan's here, and they're just like, peeking over the edge. But yeah, I just delivered. She was, I want to say she was ROA, now that I'm thinking about it. Actually, I think she was facing to my right. Yeah, because she came up onto my left. So yeah, I delivered my baby. I mean, it was really uneventful and sweet and wonderful, and
the uneventful ones are the best ones.
Yeah, like, there was nothing to really remember or like freak out about, or it was just a beautiful, wonderful. So I guess technically she was my first catch.
Yeah.
In my journey of catching, I just thought of that. Like,
oh, that's so beautiful.
She was my first catch.
Oh, you're gonna have to go home and tell her that now.
I know. I will text her on my way home.
I love that. So do you think that birth brought, healing, peace, whatever, restoration?
Yeah, I think it definitely restored my faith in midwives. Not that I was questioning it. I just knew, like, oh, we're going to check her off the list. Susan was amazing, wonderful. But yeah, it was definitely a restorative, peaceful, easy, non-eventful.
What about your postpartum with that one? Were you a little bit more anxious?
Nope. I was with Kezia. So it was interesting. I was with Declan, not with Darcy. I was with Kezia. I was not with Clementine. And then we'll get into Tegan's. But yeah, it was just easy. Like, just smooth, no baby blues.
Love that.
Yeah, it was.
So where were you in your birth work journey during this?
Yeah, so let's see. I had taken a pause after Kezia because 3 kids was hard. That was a really rough season. Josh was working nights and I was not seeing him, and it wasn't conducive. So I was attending births, but it was very minimal. So heavy after Declan, heavy after Darcy, medium, maybe like 10 births in that year.
Which is still a fair amount.
Oh yeah, it's plenty. And then after Clementine, I went right back to births. My first birth after she was born she was 3 months old. I remember my mother-in-law came down and they had to bring her. It was the longest delivery I'd ever attended. It was over 3 days and it didn't end in a birth. They got sent home from the birth center and then we went back the next weekend to do it all again. It was wild. That birth was a very clear picture of how trauma can affect deliveries. And that's a story for another day. But so heavy back into birth because I had established myself there. And then we moved. So when we went to Missouri, my birth work went way down to like 3 births a year. And then, so that was we moved in 2013. So from 13 to 14, there was very little birth work. And then I had Tegan. Birth work picked back up. And then in 2018 is when I like walked away for a big chunk. And that story we'll share another time.
Yeah, that's a heavy one for another day for sure.
Yeah.
So then going into your 5th birth then.
Yes.
What was the timeline from your 4th to your 5th?
Between Declan and Darcy is 4 years with a miscarriage in between. And Darcy was actually a twin. I didn't mention that, but that was kind of a cool thing, which we wouldn't have known because I only do 1 ultrasound at 20 weeks. And at that point, the baby had already been absorbed. And so we didn't know until we saw the placenta and the cord, the extra cord. Let's see. So then all the girls are 2 years apart, but there's a little bit more of a gap, like 2.5 years between Clementine and Tegan. So this midwife, Jessica Hinman and Liz, I cannot remember her last name, a team, we were in Missouri at this point, CPMs, both CPMs. Or no, actually, I want to say Jessica might be a CNM.
Now or then?
I think then. I don't remember actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I want to say that she is a CNM, but very much midwives, wonderful human beings. Also love them to pieces. So they had a birth center as well as home birth practice. So Tegan, she was 10 days late. And this time my dad flew in. My grandma was there also, again, my Gigi grandma. In fact, she would have been at all of them just because she's my person. But, so she was there for that one. It was the middle of the day. I woke up feeling kind of like, something feels like it might be something, but I'm not really sure.
And it was the longest you were pregnant, right?
Yeah, I was 10 days late. I had never been late. It was either 10 days early or on my due date. But it was 4th of July weekend. Yeah. And I thought, oh, well, for sure she's going to be on 4th of July. And then she just didn't come. And I think for 2 reasons. One, I love being pregnant. I would be pregnant every single year. I should have been a surrogate mom for anybody and everybody. So
did you know this was your last?
I did.
Okay.
I wanted an even amount. I wanted 4 kids, and then I obviously got pregnant with Tegan, and it just felt, even knowing I wanted 4, I didn't feel done. I felt like, I don't want to be done. I don't want to do anything permanent or make any decisions. And then after I got pregnant with Tegan, I felt like, okay, like I feel full. I feel complete. I feel if this were to be my last, I would be okay with it, where I never felt okay with it being my last. Yeah, my dad came way early thinking, so he was with us for like 2 weeks. And I remember I went and got acupuncture because she must have been a CNM, because we had the conversation of like, you're getting to 40, if we get to 42 weeks, we've got to transfer care, that kind of scenario. And so in my 41 plus week, we started to do some things to kind of get things moving along. So I did acupuncture, I did chiropractic care. They ended up stripping my membranes twice or maybe 3 times. And one of those times was because they had a student, and again, I'm a birth junkie.
Yep.
So they were like, if anyone we know we can ask you, would you be willing to let them learn? I was like, yeah, sure. I'm post-dates, like, sure, I've never had it done. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
So my poor body, it's been my own experiment as well. So I remember letting a student.
At least willingly, though.
Oh,
and,
yeah. I
and
was
like
all about
fully
it.
educated.
Oh, yeah. Fully, yeah, totally like, I mean, sure. Like, somebody's got to learn. And I wanted to learn, so why, like, come on, let's go for it.
Yeah.
So that was cool. Didn't work. None of them worked. Well, okay, they did work, because when you have your membrane stripped, usually the rule of thumb is within 72 hours. So I guess they did work. It just took the full.
Worked.
Yeah, worked as in, yeah, my body.
All anecdotal.
Yes. Yeah, so.
Knowing what we know now about the fetal lung development, and baby is the one that triggers labor, not whatever you do externally.
Yeah.
All anecdotal.
I think
maybe made you feel a little better, though.
There's still some wiggle room there.
And we will never know for sure 100% either way.
Yeah, because if you think about it, the babies who aren't fully developed, who need lung steroids to develop quickly when labor is happening, like that kind of.
So there is a theory about that.
Okay.
And I can send you an article on that.
Yeah, send me.
But yes, there is a theory on that that I talked a little bit about in our birth classes.
Okay.
But it's so sciencey, and I'm just
I don't over my head.
Yeah.
I just want to trust birthing and go with the flow.
Yeah, but there is a theory about the bacteria mimicking very closely.
Oh, okay.
The proteins that are released
in the lungs. Okay.
And that's possibly why preterm labor happens.
Okay, which would make sense, because BV and yeast and those kinds of things that are bacteria breeding grounds can tend to stimulate early labor. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I want to read that article.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
So whatever. Made me feel better, made the student have an opportunity to learn, whatever. Yeah. I was just open to whatever at that point. But also, like, secretly, like, I just want to be pregnant forever and never end and just be pregnant forever.
Yes, and then you also bring in that whole mental thing. You know, if you're not mentally ready, that can absolutely stall your labor. So even if baby is ready.
Yes.
So yeah, maybe that.
Yeah. Well, and we would learn in the end that she was just in the most horrific position. And so that was part of it too, which I knew intuitively, because I would go to the chiropractor and I just fell off. My hip just fell off. And later we learned that she was in my hip and not in the right position. So
let's talk about that. How did that go?
So labor was, again, fast and furious. So Josh actually left for work that morning, and I was like, I don't know if this is a good idea. So he worked an hour away, and he started off, and I called him right back because labor just came out of nowhere. In fact, I didn't think he would make it back, and I didn't think the midwives would even make it there, because it was so quick and fast. So it was me and my dad, and I remember like bursting into tears and saying, I'm in labor and it's fast and I need you to get the tub ready. So my dad's getting the birth pool ready, and Josh is driving home, and the midwives are driving, and I'm wicked fast in labor.
And you're already very fearful.
And I'm internally fearful. I don't think that I articulated it, but I was fearful that they weren't going to make it. All the things that were playing into it. So it's fully dilated in less than an hour. But Tegan's position, her head was transverse. I'll just put asynclitic, and she was posterior. So the body was up, facing up, which is the first bummer, and then her head was turned to the side and cocked back.
Man.
So she delivered with the widest part of her head, like this, like.
She wanted her own story.
She wanted her own story. That little Tegan Bayleaf Smith. Whew.
Oh, man.
So the plan was for Darcy to be present. My oldest girl wanted to be in the room.
How old was she at that time?
Oh, let's see. 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the perfect age.
Yeah. Well, depending.
Yeah. I mean, any age. I think as long as you're preparing children, for the birth, they can be present at any age.
Yeah. I just mean, like, it's a perfect age if it's a great birth experience.
Yes, and that's the key. And you'll find we do send her out because I'm articulating, like, oh, this isn't going the way
this
that
might come off a little scary to a 7-year-old.
The way that this is playing out, I don't want to be her first birth experience because it felt very intense for me, and I didn't want her to be afraid. So.
And you had your own experience with your first birth experience was not the best.
Yes. And that's exactly knowing, because I have daughters. I'm a mother of many daughters. I want them to love birth because they will one day give birth. I want them to not be afraid of it. So that was very present in my mind and at the forefront of my thinking.
Yeah.
So everybody makes it back, obviously, because though I dilated very quickly, her position prohibited her from delivering very quickly. It was like she was pushing into my hip instead of down, or the pressure felt like she was going to the side. So Liz, who was the midwife that attended me, in her incredible wisdom, had me doing all the positions. I was hands and knees, butt in the air, chest down, walking on the stairs, but ultimately she was in there manipulating and helping Tegan to just shift as much as she could, very minimally, but definitely trying to do whatever was needed to get her to shift.
What was your experience during that? What was going through your head while she was
I was afraid. That I've never been afraid at a birth, but that birth made me afraid because I knew something was wrong, because I knew birth, I trusted birth. I had had 4 previous experiences, with the exception of Kezia's having that little hiccup of posterior. Everything just worked, and I could feel that it wasn't working, and my stage in labor wasn't matching what I was feeling, and knowing that I wasn't able to push while being fully dilated was alarming to me.
Do you think even if you didn't have such a deep understanding of birth that you still would have felt something was wrong?
Yeah, I think women feel that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We are very intuitive, and if we are given the time, and if we're left alone with ourselves long enough, we can articulate those things in our deep, in our hearts.
Yeah.
And our intuition is not wrong, usually.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was lots of, the word's leaving my mind. What is that called?
Inversions?
Inversion, thank you. I wanted to say incline, but that's going up. Yes. Doing inversions while she just gently manipulated. But had I been in a hospital, I know that they would have taken me in for a C-section.
Absolutely.
I would have been told that this baby's not coming out. There's no way for her to be delivered. And yet she was so patient. There was never alarm. And Tegan was handling everything fine. So we, checking in with her, everything was stable and fine. So there was no reason to worry or panic. We just knew that we needed to manipulate her in a way to get her to move down.
So still beautifully managed.
Oh, yeah. So beautifully managed. At one point, I sent Darcy out just because I didn't want her to, I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know what we were what was coming, but I was fearful, and I knew that much. So, so she went out, and all in all, the whole process was 4 hours, fully dilated in an hour, and then 3 hours of maneuvering and just trying to work with my pelvis and
That's stressful.
this kid that was in a wonky donkey position.
Yeah.
Another labor where I couldn't talk, there was one point where this song was so annoying, and it was like grating on my nerves, and I just was like flapping my hand, and in my mind I was like, oh, if I flap my hand, that'll translate to turn that stupid song off and put some other song on. It didn't translate to that at all, but I just couldn't communicate. Again, I wanted my face to be in Josh's armpit, and I wanted him to hold me together. So he was behind me. We were in the birth pool, and I was on my knees, but like leaning back. So he was behind me and like holding my hips and the back of me. So I was kind of laying on his arm. So my head was here on his chest, and he's holding me, and I'm laying on him. And I remember just like flattening my body. It was the only delivery where I was like, I wasn't laying on my back. I was laying on him in the water, but I was elevated. So I was like on my feet, and my upper body was on him. So my body was just floating in the middle, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And she delivered, and I was put on my chest, and everything was great and wonderful and amazing. I can't remember if she had a nuchal cord or hand. I think she did not.
So was your midwife able to get her position?
It was better, but she did deliver asynclitic, so the widest part of her head. And she was posterior. So I think she remedied the transverse part, but I don't. Actually, I'm pretty sure she delivered in that position. So, like this part of her head delivered first.
How did that feel in comparison to your other 4?
Awful. It was the worst delivery that I had experienced ever. But it didn't influence me to not want to have another baby. Like I would deliver again. It didn't cause so much fear in me that I was just like, nope, done, never doing this again.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your future plans and birth work, and give us, a little piece of wisdom you want to leave us with.
Okay. Well, my future, I am still a student midwife, so my hope and my dream is to one day be a midwife and help women in their most sacred time of delivery. The wisdom that I would send you off with is trust your body, trust birth, and most importantly, tap into your intuition. When we get still and quiet and really listen, our body will speak to us, and we can trust what it's saying, and we should trust what it's saying.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing all of your
Thank you for
beautiful 5 home birth stories.
Yes, thank you for letting me share.
Yes, I'm so glad that I finally got to hear all of them.
I know, man. Thank you for being patient with me as I tried to recall. It's been quite a few years.
No, I always love hearing you talk about all things birth.
Aw, well, thank you.
Especially your own. That's extra special.
They're pretty special.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
Until next time.
Until next time.
Thank you for entering the birth room with us, a space where stories breathe, wisdom flows, and the veil between heaven and earth grows thin. If today's episode stirred something in you, we invite you to linger with it, to share it, to sit with it, to carry it into your own sacred spaces. Follow the Birth Room podcast and connect with us as we continue to remember, reclaim, and surrender birth together. Until next time, walk gently, surrender wholly, and never forget, birth is holy ground.